Hey there, Julie here. Welcome back to the channel. On today's video, I'm going to take this image and I'm going to take it from Photoshop into Nick Collection Analog Efex and do a couple of really fun little edits on it. So let's jump in. Okay, so I thought it'd be fun to take this image into Analog Efex because I wanted to do some things for it. So this is not actually my photo. This is by a fellow artist, Penny, and she allowed us, there's a group challenge that we're all doing, that we take a photo and we all use the same photo and we follow a theme. So this is time, so this is Father Time, and just to let you have a look, this is the original photo. So what I did, just briefly, I went through, I did a different backdrop, I recolored the top, I put some text in, I put a different hat on, I just played around, I put some fun little clocks in here, I put this light in, I put some clouds, I put a clock face and hands in here. So I was just playing around with it and just doing all sorts of fun things to it. I then just did a couple of hue saturations, I did a bit of a fine art action. So this is iris, so you can see there's quite a jump in there. So this is the final image. What I'm going to do now that I've got it to here, I'm going to merge it all onto a new layer. So Control Alt Shift and E, and that's just merged it all onto its own layer. So from here I can take it straight into Analog Efex. Now you can go the old way, so you can go filter and go through there, or you can go straight to the plugin. So I'm going to click on the Analog Efex plugin. Now I don't want to take any of the layers with me, so when I click on open, I don't want any of the masks or layers, I just want the final product. So I'm not going to select any of them, I'm just going to open straight into Analog Efex. Okay, so the image is now open in Analog Efex, and that's just a before and after, but there's nothing there at this particular point in time because I haven't played with anything. So what do we want to play with? So we could play with some really cool double exposures. So I could do something like this, which is very, very cool. And you can also now with the double exposures, so I've got image and image 2, but I could bring in another image if I wanted to. So I just click on the little image 1, image 2 down here. That then just brings up my Explorer panel and I can go to whatever image I want. So there's lots of different presets that you can play with in here. Some of these are kind of cool. I really did like that first one though. That was pretty nifty. I did like that one. Let's see if we can go back. It's sort of got like the two faces type thing, so it's pretty cool. If I had, I could do like a young person's face and superimposed to an old one, because remember this is Father Time, so I could have him changing from one face to another face. So that's pretty cool. So that's some stuff that I could do. I also had this thought of doing like a motion, so sort of like a blur effects. So if I come over to motion, and I can play with the motion. So I've got my motion over here, so zoom strength, so how much I want to keep, and I can grab that and move it. So say I want to keep his face, protect the center, maybe I want to protect a little more. My zoom strength, so I could make that quite zoomy or not a lot, and I can twist it. So if I want to have sort of a bend to it, and then of course you've got your motion blur that you can play with there as well. So you can have a lot of fun playing with that. I do just want to protect his face in the center a little bit. You can play with your lens vignette. So if you want more lens vignette, so to the right is white, to the left is black. You can change the shape of it, so if you want more of a circle or a rectangle vignette, and you can change the size of it, so how much of it you want in there. I can then also change the film type, so we can have a couple of different looks. Quite like that cool one, and you can fade that, the strength of that, etc. as well. So what I need to do is decide on whether I want to have motion blur or if I want to have double exposure. But what I can do here, and this is a really cool thing about Knit Collection 8, so I can save this as a layer to Photoshop, and it's sent to Photoshop as layer 19, or I can then come back and say I wanted to play with photo plate, or see, there's some really cool photo plates that are available in Analog Efex. I adore Analog Efex for all of these very, very cool analog film effects that you can do. I mean, how amazing is that? I did love that double exposure, so I'm going to keep that as well. And of course you can go through and you can edit different things within that preset. So these are presets, and then you can go and edit them on the right hand side even further. So if I wanted to use a different light leak, or if I wanted different colors, so maybe I want to go for something a little more cool, or I could go to black and whites. So much stuff. I keep saying that, but it is so true. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to send that as a layer as well. So that's sent that to Photoshop as layer 20. So when I go back into Photoshop, I can decide if I want either of those, neither of those, or even blend the two together. So there's other things that you can do in here. You can go for vintage looks, you can go for toy camera looks. I'm not a huge fan of the toy camera looks per se. Multi-lens, so if you wanted to split the image and have different parts of the image in different areas. So that's another really cool, fun thing that you can do. And you can decide on multi-lenses, border widths, vignettes, saturation, how many you want, what border color, etc. So I could go for black border color, I can go for 4 different images. I can really split it up. I'm not a huge fan of those for this particular image, so I might go back to this color cast. I can play with different color casts, and you've got burnt edges. Just takes a second to click over. So it's blue fantasy. This is just color cast 1, and it's got light leaks that's put over the where the lamp is, and that's pretty cool too. And I'm like, what do I want to do from here? So I'm really happy with this image here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click apply. Now I can click on the little plus here. I can save it as a smart object, so I can bounce backwards and forwards and re-edit it. I can save it as an active layer, or I can save it as a new layer. I haven't got a mask as such on this, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to save this as a new layer, hit apply, and this is going to save it and bring me back into Photoshop. Okay, so this is the finished image that I saved and applied and pop back into Photoshop. But those other 2 layers that I saved and sent a layer back, so there's layer 19, and that was sort of that movement one that I had, and then I've got layer 20, which is that double exposure. So I've kind of got all 3 that I can play with. So perhaps if I wanted to do the double exposure, I can bring that layer down and I could have this colored one as like an overlay over the top. So I've sort of almost got like three images, and then if I wanted to again, I could put this as multiply or lighten or screen, so that's sort of over the top again. I've sort of got this three sort of thing happening now, and I can sort of play around with that. So I've got movement happening in there, and I've got light and color and all sorts of things. And I guess it's up to you to decide how much is too much, but I really kind of like the effects that we've got. So I really did like that double exposure that I had. So you sort of had the two different looks, but perhaps if I wanted to drop that down a little bit, I could then have that color tone that I had over the top. I've set it to overlay, but I could set it to color dodge or light and color, or even just color, and use the color in that one. And I could of course bring that back a little bit. So it's very blue. Now that's bringing that yellow sepia tones into it. And then I had the movement in there as well, which I've got set to screen, but so I've got his predominant face there. And bouncing that through. So there's so many different options that I can play with. I could just have the one option and keep that as that tone, so it's a real sort of sepia tone to it. Or I could keep the double exposure and have it just like that, which is still kind of cool. Or I've got that one which, if I set it back to normal, it's sort of got that movement in it. So when I combine all of that to the fact that I've already run this image through the mixer brush, so it's already quite painterly, it really does take your digital art to a whole nother level. So that's it for today's video. I'll leave it there. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up and maybe even subscribe. It really does mean a lot to have you on my journey. It also helps me build my channel. So I will see you next time on YouTube. Bye.